everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. Today I am going to stop and rank all 9 new releases that I saw in January. Slight disclaimer, I'm doing this on UK release, so there might be a couple of movies in here that if you're from the US you might have seen like 2 or 3 months ago, or the kind of like Oscar-y kind of films tend to come out in January over here, so they will be in this ranking. Also, I did not manage to get around to seeing The Beekeeper, the new Jason Statham movie. I'm a little bit gutted about that because everyone's saying it's quite a lot of fun and I really enjoy Josh Hutcherson, so I really did want to see that, but the timings just didn't work and I haven't got around to seeing it yet, so that's a shame. If I do watch that soon, I'll probably film like a TikTok review or something. But yeah, I saw 9 movies in January. It wasn't the strongest month for film, but the ones I did love, I like super loved. So I can't wait to get into this today with you guys. Let's get to it. In 9th place, we do unfortunately have the Blumhouse January dump, which was Night Swim this year. So I was really looking forward to Night Swim. I thought the premise sounded really unique. I am absolutely petrified of water, so I thought this one was really going to affect me. And it's got a really strong cast in Kerry Condon and Wyatt Russell. This was, oh, I really did not like this movie. I was surprised to see how generic and by the books it became, and so quickly. The haunted swimming pool kind of, I thought that was going to be like something fun, but it ends up just a haunted house / haunted parent movie kind of by the end of things. It's basically the Amityville Horror, really. It didn't really have anything new to say. There were a couple of instances of good horror, but unfortunately I couldn't enjoy them as much as I hoped to because they were literally pulled out of other movies that are 10 times better than the one we were given. There's a scene that's very reminiscent of It, and yeah, it just kind of felt like a cop-out, to be honest. I'm really like, I feel horrible like saying all this because it's a new director and I always like checking out directorial debuts and seeing like what fresh talent is coming out, but I just don't think this was it just wasn't a great movie, to be honest. It was super generic. The only decent scares, like I said, they were pulled out of other films and they were shown in the trailer as well, so I kind of went into this one having already seen the best bits. Wyatt Russell and Kerry Condon, they were fine. I mean, they didn't give career best performances, but I don't think the material they were given really allowed them to show their talent or their range, which is a great shame. There was a whole lot of stuff in here that was like nothing to do with horror as well. There was way much more baseball than I was expecting, and yeah, it just took so long to get going. And by the end, when it gets to like the climax and the explanation for the haunted swimming pool, I was just so over it and it was just such a cop-out. Not very good performances, really bog standard horror, totally by the book's premise. It just didn't give anything fresh, new or unique. It's something I've seen 10 times already and it's something I've seen done far better in the past. So unfortunately that is number 9. Oh, I hate this. So number 8 is another horror, and this is called Baghead. I don't think a lot of people did see this one because it got quite a limited theatrical release. I was given a screener for this one, which is how I've managed to see it. And the main issue I took with Baghead is that, so it kind of centres around a girl's father dies and she ends up inheriting a pub from him. Pub's got a creepy basement. Down in the basement is a character called Baghead, which is like a witch that you can connect with and talk to a loved one through her. So think Talk to Me from last year. It's essentially that. What I hated is that this film committed the one cardinal sin that I hate in horror, and that's when it shows you the villain too early. Not only does it show us the true like look of Baghead within the first act of the movie, it shows us in the trailer. So obviously when I'm sent a screener, I kind of check out the trailer to see if it would be something I like. The trailer was just the whole film, so I was really gutted to find that out. I was hoping that the film might give something fresh and new that's not in the trailer, but no. Again, similar to Night Swim, all the best bits were shown in the trailer. I was really looking forward to this one because of its pub setting, and I do think that worked quite well. Like, it was quite a dingy location, very dimly lit and very creepy. I did like that. It also has Freya Allen in it from The Witcher. I can't remember off the top of my head the character she plays because I haven't seen it. But I've heard she was very good in The Witcher, and her performance in Baghead was just a little bit average. Again, I think it was just a case of the material not really allowing her to explore her range. I didn't really get anything out of Baghead at all, to be honest. It was very like, all the actors had British accents. The pub was very British, but it was set in, I think it was like Berlin or something, which just felt really random. Like, it was basically like just the UK, so I found that really, really strange. And it did have a couple of twists and turns towards the end, but by then I was pretty much over it, to be honest. The one of the twists was very predictable, and the horror was just not very well done at all. Baghead did have quite good design, but again, we saw her too early, so as soon as we saw her, the fear factor was gone, and it was just a bog standard, not very well written horror flick. In 7th place, we unfortunately have another horror. This is a fun kind of slasher movie named Founders Day. Think Scream with a political edge. Also think Scream, but not half as well written. I didn't mind Founders Day. I gave this like a 2.5 out of 5, so like a middle of the road score. I really enjoyed like the design of the killer. It had like the black cloak, so it was very kind of Scream reminiscent. I also always enjoy a slasher that's centred around like a group of teenagers that are being picked off one by one. I do find fun in that, and no matter how poorly written or how low the budget, there is something to enjoy within that premise, and I think this one is fun enough. It has a few kills in here that are quite gory. They're not overly creative, but they are quite fun, so if you're into your gory flicks, you might find some enjoyment with this one. The main issue I had with Founders Day, that it was just, the political stuff was so cringy. It was very poorly written. It wasn't very fun at all. It kind of got shoved in random places, so it didn't really fit. The performances were fine. Nothing really to write home about. The end reveal I thought was okay. I think... Oh... I was like, what the hell is that noise? I accidentally trod on my what's she called? My Light Fury plush. She makes noises, and I just trod on it, and I was like, oh my god, what is in my room? Oh, I can't believe I just caught that. That's absolutely hilarious. I'm probably going to keep that in. Anyway, I think that was my cue to stop talking about Founders Day. Middle of the road slasher. It's quite fun, but really poorly written, very, very generic, brings nothing new to the table. I would probably skip out on this one. In 6th place, we have a rom-com which stars Lucy Hale in the lead role. This is called Which Brings Me to You. It's the same director as The Hating Game, so if you liked The Hating Game, you may like this one. It's not quite as good, but it is quite a sweet little romance. She stars opposite Nat Wolff, and I really enjoyed the chemistry between the two. It's one of those sort of rom-coms that's set over one day, so it's pretty based on like dialogue and our characters getting to know each other, and it cleverly uses flashbacks within the storyline to kind of show us, it's them two talking about their past relationships, and it shows us bits of that, so I think that made things a little bit more interesting overall. It's got really good performances. I actually thought this one was quite well done. The main thing that stopped me from truly loving it was that the characters were a little bit questionable. They were a little bit unlikable. I didn't fully enjoy their motives. They were a little bit shallow, to be honest. I'll say that. They were quite shallow. But I did enjoy going backwards and forwards between their lives and finding out like why they're so hurt, why they're so broken, why they're still single, why they struggle in love. And yeah, the dialogue's intriguing enough to kind of keep you invested throughout the film. If you like a rom-com, there's not really much comedy here, so if you enjoy a romance film, definitely check this out. Just don't expect to be like laughing out loud or anything. It doesn't really have much going for it in terms of comedy, but as like a background watch for 90 minutes, watching a romance develop between two leads, yeah, I thought it was passable. I quite enjoyed this one. In 5th place, we have another horror film, which is Lord of Misrule. This is directed by William Brent Bell, who brought us Orphan First Kill a couple of years ago, which I really enjoy, and the film The Boy from 2013, something like that. I'm just literally making that up off the top of my head because I can't remember. But what I liked about Lord of Misrule is that it is a folk horror. I'm really kind of into like my folk tales, and think like Midsummer, Wicker Man. It definitely had that sort of vibe, and I think it worked really, really well. It had a really like ethereal, fantastical kind of vibe despite being set like in the real world. It's set in a very small town like the Wicker Man, so everything feels quite isolated and claustrophobic and very cliquey. It centres on a priest who moves her family into the town, just her partner and her daughter. Her daughter unfortunately goes missing during like a harvest festival, and things get a little bit paranormal, get a little bit strange. She kind of seems to be the only one that wants to find her daughter, so she goes on a little bit of a rabbit trail. I really like this one. I saw some mixed reviews before I checked this out, but there wasn't really much to see before I watched it because I did receive a screener for it and it was embargoed. But what it gave us, I really liked. I kind of liked the vibe, the setting. It felt like a proper like folklore tale. I really enjoyed that. Like the music was there, the ambiance was there. I said in my review, if you're coming for the vibes, you will not be disappointed. Immaculate folk horror vibes. The performances were really good as well. It has Tuppence Middleton in here, who I really like. She got to show quite a lot of emotional range, obviously having her daughter go missing. She done that really well. She dealt with all that stress really well. It was really well portrayed. We also have Ralph Ineson in here, who I absolutely love, especially in the horror genre. And in true Ralph Ineson fashion, he was playing the creepy character that you're kind of unsure about as the movie goes on. Really like this one, has like a cult feeling to it. I love films about cults, so I enjoyed it for that. It's not perfect by any means. I think it's a little bit slow and a little bit generic. When I say it's very similar to The Wicker Man and Midsommar, it kind of pulls the best bits from those, so it doesn't feel entirely original. That being said, I did have a good time watching it and I enjoyed the missing child mystery element of that. Really well done. If you do have a chance to check out Lord of Misrule, I definitely would recommend doing so. In fourth place, this might be quite divisive, but I had a little bit of fun with this one. I have Mean Girls, and yes, this is just Mean Girls with songs. Yes, it's just a carbon copy of the original and the Broadway, with the song shortened and the message kind of lost in everything. But what I needed in the moment that I watched this was colour, fun, and something upbeat, and that is exactly what it delivers. The cast across the board are fairly competent. I absolutely love Angourie Rice, but I do think she was a little bit miscast in here. However, having Renee Rapp play Regina George after playing her on Broadway is an absolute genius choice because she's already familiar with the character and her voice is absolutely insane, so I love that. It also had the person that voices Moana playing Janice, and I really liked her. I thought her performance and her voice were both fantastic. And it's, yeah, like I said, this is Mean Girls with songs, so it doesn't do anything new. And because of the music and because of how choppy everything is, it does kind of take away from the message at points, and I don't think the character development of Regina is done as well here as it is in the first movie. But what I did like is how everything's kind of freshened up and modernised a little bit. Tina Fey is fantastic. She gives herself all the best lines. And it's got a lot of modern comedy in here, which is a really nice juxtaposition to the original. There were so many laughs to be had here. I did laugh out loud quite a lot at how campy and fun it was. All the costuming and the pink and everything was just absolutely stunning. And I really enjoyed the songs. I haven't listened too much to the Broadway soundtrack, but I have heard that they kind of chopped up the songs quite a lot, which is a bit of a shame. But I have been listening to this soundtrack since watching the movie. I do really enjoy it, especially the songs sung by and about Regina. I really enjoy those ones. So if you're a fan of the original, check it out, have some fun with it. Just take it with a pinch of salt, to be honest, because it's not the most necessary film in the world and it's not as strong as the original or as the Broadway show. But I got what I wanted out of it, which was a fun time, and yeah, that's all I can really say on that one. In third place, we have a Netflix original and a Dan Levy directorial debut, which is called Good Grief. So this kind of centres on Dan Levy is playing the lead character here, and it explores his grief as his husband passes away in a really horrific car accident. And I don't want to spoil because I went into this completely blind. I did not know what it was about, and there were a few like not twists and turns. It's not a thriller by any means, but there was some information revealed throughout the movie which did take me by surprise and did create an emotional response from me and my nan who watched it alongside me. Dan Levy, just a fantastic guy all round, really. I think his direction was good, his writing was good, and his performance was good. It's a very, very thorough exploration of grief. It's also a nice exploration of friendship as well. It centres on him and his two best friends going on a trip to Paris whilst he's grieving, just to kind of, you know, try and have a bit of fun, try and get out there and just try and process everything a little bit. One of his friends, she's just super duper fun. Did kind of fall into manic pixie dream girl at times, but it kind of managed to avoid that by the end, I think. She was really fun. She was just kind of like carefree and a bit of a liability, but I found her character really fun. And his male best friend as well. It just explores how grief affects like the relationships that you hold with your friends and those around you. I really appreciated it for that. It's quite a sad film and it's quite slow, but it does have a few light moments of comedy to kind of bring things back up again. I do also feel like there were times at the end where it kind of went into like multiple ending syndrome, like where I was like, oh, okay, it should finish now. Okay, it should finish now. But then by the end, I kind of realised that all those little scenes at the end are enjoyable and they are quite worthwhile and they're very emotional, and it kind of wraps things up for the characters that are in them. So yeah, it's a really good exploration of grief. It has some nice like comedy in there, and for a directorial debut from Dan Levy, I really enjoyed it and I'm really intrigued to see what he will do next. Not a perfect film. I did rate it 3.5 out of 5, and I don't know if it's something I would necessarily rewatch, but I did have fun with it and I'm intrigued to see what Levy does next. Really big jump from film 3 to 2 in terms of, not quality, but in terms of my enjoyment. At number 2, we have a film I watched just a few days ago and haven't been able to discuss yet because of how emotionally impacted I was. I am talking about All of Us Strangers. And I'm going to have to be careful what I say here because A, I don't want to cry. And B, I think going into this kind of blind is the best way. I knew it would be emotional because of what I've heard others say, but I literally thought this was just like a LGBTQ romance. That's what I thought it was. No. It explores grief, it explores loneliness, it explores how it feels to be gay and the kind of what you receive from friends, family for that, like when you come out, and how that can affect your relationships and stuff like that. Really hit home for me. A lot of this hit home. It's about the main character, Andrew Scott, has lost his parents at a very young age, so that's not something I can relate to, but it was very sad seeing him kind of navigate his grief. It happened when he was 12, and to see how badly he was still struggling in his older age was really, really quite sad. The lead performance from Andrew Scott is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely loved it. And of course, he stars alongside Paul Mescal, and he is absolutely fantastic as well. I loved seeing the relationship develop between these two characters. This movie is an emotional gut punch after emotional gut punch after emotional gut punch. It never kind of leaves you a second, just as you think that things are gonna like improve for our characters. It doesn't, and it is very, very sad. It is emotional, but it's very good as well. The exploration of grief is maybe one of my favourites that I've seen in the last few years, maybe even ever. It's very emotional and just, yeah. All the technical aspects are really good as well. Like, it has a really, really fun soundtrack. The cinematography is absolutely beautiful. The way it's shot, and it just kind of like lingers on our characters for that extra second. It shows all of like the brushing of hands and the touching of skin, and all of those little details just made this such like a little intimate and immersive movie. I really enjoyed it. It touched my heart. I'm still struggling to talk about it now because of how much it affected me. If you think you can handle it and take in some tissues and get through it, definitely check this out. It is an absolutely fantastic watch. One of the better movies from 2023, absolutely. If you know me, you know exactly what is coming. If you watched my 2023 top 10, you will know that my favourite new release, my favourite film that I saw in January was, of course, Poor Things. Oh, this movie, I'm not going to go into it in too much detail. I spoke about it loads in my top 10 of 2023, so please do check that out if you want to know a few more in-depth thoughts. And I also have quite a lengthy Letterboxd review if you'd rather like read my thoughts because they're a little bit more cohesive. Poor Things is a very, very, very important film to me. I absolutely loved it. The character of Bella Baxter, I think, is one of the best characters we've had for years. Definitely of last year, but I just absolutely love her. It was so intriguing to have a film showing someone exploring the world and seeing things for the first time, but as an adult in an adult's physicality so that they can navigate things. It's all about her like experiencing dance, sex, masturbation, heartbreak, exploring everything for the first time, but as an adult. It's so pure to watch, and it's so heartbreaking at times because she slowly starts to realise like that there's not the world isn't all bright and happy. There's some really terrible things that goes on, and seeing her raw responses to that, it's just heartbreaking. The performances here are absolutely insane. Obviously, Emma Stone is the standout here. How she manages to portray a child in an adult's body is absolutely beyond me. I have no words. She was just phenomenal. Mark Ruffalo giving his career best performance in my opinion. Also, Willem Dafoe is absolutely fantastic. It's a quirky film. It's very fantastical. It kind of mixes period piece with like futuristic almost. It's all kind of shot practically. The costumes are absolutely glorious. The comedy in here, it's just literally laugh out loud funny from start to finish. I wasn't expecting it to be as funny as it was. It's just, I said I wasn't going to talk about this too long, so I'm really going to try and wrap this up. But it's just a really special film about someone figuring out who they want to be, figuring out their place in the world, and seeing what it is they can do to kind of help and just try and make things better for themselves and those around them. Absolutely fantastic film. Yorgos Lanthimos is an absolute master of his craft, and it might not be my favourite of his, I'm still undecided, but it's definitely technically his best film he's made today, just by the visuals and the script and everything like that. It's funny, it's insightful, it's really, really deep, and it has some of the best performances of 2023. I absolutely loved Poor Things, and I cannot wait to rewatch this again. That is it. That is all the January new releases I checked out. Again, I would have really enjoyed seeing The Beekeeper, but I didn't quite get there this time. Hopefully I'll check it out soon. Thank you for watching. Please let me know down below what you watched during January. What did you not enjoy? What did you love? Let me know down below. And I will do another one of these again at the end of February / the start of March. Thanks for joining me again, and I'll see you soon. Bye.